Within Huawei's lineup of tablets, we have the MatePad, the MatePad Pro, which we have reviewed earlier, and then also the MatePad T. So this is the MatePad T 10S, the newly released one, which is priced at 999 ringgit. It has what Huawei claims to be for budget use case, but we do have quite a lot of things to share about this tablet. The first thing that I want to tell you is that here's a disclaimer first. Anything I show in this video, especially all the apps which you cannot find in the app gallery, is downloaded somewhere else. I will not show you how I downloaded it, but I will just show you in this video that it does work. So let's first talk about the design of the MatePad T10S. It's a pretty sleek tablet, nicely constructed, real hard aluminium here, and overall it's really thin as well. Has two speakers and an offset USB Type-C port at the bottom here, which I think is good. And there's also a 3.5mm headphone jack. And you can also make calls using this tablet as well. But you cannot use the Huawei Me Time. For some reason, they just yanked out the whole feature from this tablet, so I don't know what's going on. Now let's talk about the display of this tablet. It's using a 10.1-inch IPS LCD screen. And the one thing I appreciate the most here is not having a notch on the display itself. So it does have a noticeably big bezel around the screen, and yes, I can hold it like this even though it's a bit awkward, but yeah, it's not accidentally touching the screen. In terms of the colors and brightness, I would say it's pretty typical of IPS LCD screens. It's definitely not the best looking out there, but I would say it's acceptable. And so far, if you want to watch videos on this tablet here, just take note that the light sensor is at the top. So if you're using it in this orientation, and if you're a right-handed user, then you will always be covering the light sensor, and the display goes dim and bright. Yeah, it's just not really a fun experience. But what about the specs? Since this is a budget-oriented tablet from Huawei, to put it lightly, this is a tablet with smartphone hardware that's 2 years old. Remember the Honor 8X? Yeah, it's using the Kirin 710 as well. 3 gigs of RAM, and I forgot what's the storage. I think it's 128 gigs or something like that. Overall performance, I would say it's kind of stuttery here and there. It is to be expected from a 2-year-old hardware anyway. At first, I also downloaded Genshin Impact on this tablet. I tried running it. It got through the login screen, but then it just hung there for like 5 minutes. I gave up twice. But today, when I open Genshin Impact, it works, but it's stuttery as It's just not playable even at the lowest graphical settings. And for the battery, it's using a 5100 mAh battery. Battery life is not really that good because the Kirin 710 is not really that power efficient. From my use case, browsing Facebook for a while, the 10% of the battery gets consumed pretty quickly. So yeah, do keep that in mind. As for the charging time, Huawei only included a 10-watt charger, which is also to be expected because the Kirin 710 chipset doesn't support any sort of fast charging at that point in time, so 10 watts is what we get for this tablet. With all of those out of the way, now I want to focus on software alone. So this tablet here is using Android 10 with EMUI 10.1. That means there's no GMS, no Google services, and as far as I know, no way to sideload it because this tablet is still considered new. So what happens now is that you will have to find all of your APKs somewhere else or in the Huawei app gallery or just some other places like APK Mirror or even their own Petal Search or something like that. My problem here is that when I go in and check the DRM info, it says Whitevine L1. Netflix works, but it looks pixelated. So it's definitely not in HD. And do remember, this display here is actually 1920 by 1200. It's using a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, full HD. So there's no reason that this tablet cannot run all of those Netflix shows at full HD. So once again, I don't know what's going on. And since there's no Google mobile services, there are just a lot of things that cannot be done using this tablet. You can go watch YouTube videos using the browser, but again, because of 3 gigs of RAM and all of those 2-year-old smartphone hardware, Performance is not really that smooth while you're browsing through the web version of YouTube. There's also a dedicated ebook mode for this tablet here. When you toggle ebook mode, the color of the screen will be desaturated to become black and white, and also slightly yellow to kind of imitate those kind of printed books look. It emulates the look of paper and ink pretty well for an IPS LCD screen, but it's nowhere near the contrast and the crispness of a dedicated ebook reader like the Amazon Kindle that I have here. My problem here about ebooks is that the way you get ebooks into the tablet is kind of an issue. So I did install the Amazon Kindle app. That works, so you just log into your Amazon account and then you can buy and download ebooks from Amazon themselves, because that's a separate marketplace from Google. But the issue is that if you want to use some other ebook readers, then you will have to get the ebooks from yourself, and it's just a slippery slope down that road. So if you can get over those hurdles, then yeah, it's a pretty good ebook reader, especially for all of the ebook modes and whatnot. But with all things considered, the price of 999 ringgit for this tablet, I would say it's just too expensive. Number one, without Google mobile services, you just can't do much of anything. I'm sorry, Huawei, but that's just a fact right now. And secondly, if you want to use this as an ebook reader, I would suggest you to get the Amazon Kindle instead, because this is a much more, how do you say this, a more dedicated ebook reader. But if you want to have a tablet that can do both at the same time, this is a good alternative. But if you consider any other tablets in the market right now, which are also priced at 999 ringgit, and also has Google mobile services, this doesn't look like a really compelling offer. So that's all I want to say and share to you about the brand new Huawei MatePad T10s. It's a good looking tablet, but it's just the software part is my main complaint here. Yeah, that's all we have to say about this tablet. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.